Shabbat Shalom. I am grateful to be here on tonight. I have been at Kol Ami many a times, and we are grateful for being here tonight. I was elated to hear the music and the piano and all the above, and just I've been to other temples, and y'all alive, amen. Yeah, I'll come back. I'll come back. I was very much prepared for something else, and y'all didn't do none of that. I was really prepared, and I said, let me stop reading the book and just let enjoy it. Eh? So I love it. The first time I went to Rabbi Les Brunstein's house of worship, I stood next to him, and there were some words and some tunes that I knew, and he says to me, I think we need you to be our cantor. I said, yeah, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. And in the Baptist church, we have to do it all. We're in and out, in and out. And I just did my quote unquote debut song for Christmas, and my millennial children of the church says, Pastor, you're going to be great for Broadway. That was not what I was expecting. You'll be great for Broadway, but I'm glad to be here. I was at UJA on yesterday in the city, and I said to them, I asked God to open up doors for me, and God has jokes. He didn't open up one Christian door. He opened up all the Jewish doors. I'm like, so I'm UJA to yesterday, Kol Ami tonight, Westchester Reformed tomorrow, and then I get I preach it on Sunday, and then Tuesday I'm at the Rotary Club. I'm like, okay, God, whatever you're doing, it's all right. It's all right with me. But I'm grateful. Several years ago, Rabbi Jason doesn't know, but several years ago, as I shared it in the city, what brought my life and the lives of Kol Ami together with us was someone wrote placed a swastika on the Bronx River Parkway. And in the same week, somebody threw white powder on the statue of the Reverend Martin Luther King, Jr. And because I am the president of the council, Ministers' Council for City of White Plains, there was a called meeting here, and Rabbi Shira and the president at the time, we were all meeting in her office, and we were talking about strategies, and we came up with the terminology, not in our town, and we began to put placards all over the place, and we all agreed that if somebody acted up, that we all would show up and remind them, not in our town. I was born here some almost 65 years ago, and so this is my city. I went to Woodlands High School, and the Lord, yes. We'll talk later, amen. We have made it a beautiful place. White Plains is a beautiful place. We don't have some of the stuff that other people have. But in that meeting with Shira and the president of that time, they said, Reverend Trollinger, can you stop? Can you stay for a second? And I stayed, and they introduced to me that Kol Ami the young people go on a civil rights tour. And they offered for the young people of Calvary to go with them. And 7 of my young people went with 7 of your young people to Alabama and to Atlanta. And I call her Captain Abby, but Abby Marcus was our drill sergeant. I ended up calling her Captain. And she gave us instructions. For the first day, we could all stay in our own silos. But the second day, we had to all get together. And the youth got together, and the end of the story is that that the young people that from Kol Ami, when they graduated from high school, the young people from Calvary went to their graduations. And when the kids from White Plains and Woodlands graduated, they went to their graduations. And we have built that friendship and that fellowship, and it's tremendous to me. Several years ago, when I was a student at Woodlands High School, there was a lady by the name of Evelyn LaRue Pittman, and she created a play called Freedom Child. And that particular play ended up taking me all over the East Coast of New York and my first trip to London, England. I was introduced to Dr. King because I did not know who Dr. King was. And reality, I end up playing his role of being Dr. King. And so that impacted me that I went to school in Atlanta, Georgia. I made the attempt to go to the same college that he went to, but I wasn't accepted. And so the deal was I was supposed to stay at the college where I went for 1 year and then transfer to Morehouse. Well, Morehouse was a little bit stuffy for me. Yeah, they had a whole bunch of stuffiness. So I stayed with the normal people. I was a Baptist minister in a Methodist school. I'll let you know how that worked out. Not so good. But my friendship here is also great. The kippah that I wear right now is the one I've got from here, from Kol Ami, that when I was going to Israel with the other Jewish rabbis and ministers, I came by and got a kippah from here, from Temple, from Les, and I like this one. Let me start. During the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's acceptance speech in receiving the Nobel Peace Prize, in that message, he said these words that I want to echo in your hearing on tonight. Dr. King said, "I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality." Today, my brothers and my sisters, we are in the midst of a struggle for the hearts and souls of humanity. America and the world are paused in a state of soulish conflict, be it racial, be it religious, be it color, be it economics. There is an armed conflict that's using the weapons of hate, bias, prejudice, indifference. But tonight, I invite you to examine with me a means that I call building bridges. The very concept is interesting to me because on the surface it seems easy. However, in reality, to build a bridge first requires a vision, then a survey, plans, and then hard work. A lot of digging, a lot of drilling, and a lot of construction has to be done. It has been written in regards to building a bridge to do something, and this struck me, to do something to help opposing groups of people to understand each other or to behave well towards others. What's real interesting to me in the terminology of the word is opposing groups of people. Opposing bursts the conflict and the thoughts and the ideas that something's wrong with the other. Something is not right with the other person, and we may need to make them right. It has also been stated that building bridges means to improve relationships between people who are very different or do not like each other. Once again, in my novice way of thinking, causes me to think, why must we be very different, and why don't we like each other? King's words of unarmed truth and unconventional love will create a stronger connection. Before the pandemic, I came to visit Rabbi Shearer in the smaller chapel. And on that particular lesson, they were teaching about truth. And I listened in amazement, the conversation that was going on. And while I was listening to the lesson, the movie came up in my head that says, the truth, you can't handle the truth. And when I walked out of that study, I said, I cannot handle the truth. People will have power to make real transformation if we accept Martin's idea of unarmed truth and unconditional love. And I know it's hard because of how society is and how even some of us have been raised. Pause for a second. I lived in Mamaroneck for the first 5, maybe 4 years of education. In Mamaroneck, there was Italians, blacks, and Jewish people. I was so young, I didn't know the difference between an Italian and a Jewish person. We were just friends. That's all I knew. My Cub Scout master was a white gentleman, and we had the training at his house. And one night, my father was late coming to get me. And my father grew up in segregated South. Let me put that out. He knew what racism was. He hid it from me and my brother. We never knew what racism was living in Mamaroneck. My father was late, and so the cub master told me to go upstairs and go to bed with his son. My father got there an hour later and was screaming and yelling, "Lee, get down here now." And I could hear the cub master say, "It's okay." But my dad had lived through racism. My dad wanted to be a veterinarian, and he had worked for a veterinarian. And when he expressed that he wanted to be a veterinarian, the man that mentored and trained him said, "Negroes are animals just like the ones you take care of. You will never be a veterinarian." Dad then ended up moving to White Plains. Building these bridges takes time, but it's worth it. The power of relationships are often the source of our greatest joy and our greatest challenges. People, allow me to be true with you with understanding that relationships are not always a simple task. There must be a willingness to build relationships. When Jason became rabbi here, he got instructions from Shearer. You will be friends with Lee Trollinger. She told me that. And I said, yes, I will be friends with Jason. And our conversations has built together. Well, we are friends because of relationship, not because of something one can gain from another. If we cannot forgive others, we break bridges over which must be passed. We cannot talk really and hear and listen to each other in unarmed truth and unconditional love if we don't start building the bridges. Wait, let me stop and recognize for a second the need that because there is a gulf that has been created either by man's made willingness or environmental situations. This gulf reminds us of the separation that breaks our connection. When God created the great land masses in the book of Genesis, all of the land masses were together. However, because of humanity's sin, error, and inward failure to the sovereign God, a flood was sent. This flood causes the land masses to divide. Humanity was now divided in different directions because the sons of Noah went in different parts of the earth. The gulf became real. And so is the unarmed love and unconditional love. Here we are again in history. In the times and the seasons of humanity, they are allowing the gulf of race, color, economics, and a manifestation of privilege to cause us to be separated. So may I challenge each and every one of us today to make sure that we start thinking about building bridges, not walls, because walls are those that block the progress. The real gulf and the walls that are dealing with today limits us from being connected. Several centuries ago, or decades ago rather, President Ronald Reagan stood in Germany and said to then the president of the Soviet Union, "Tear down this wall." I'm saying, let's build some bridges. As we build bridges, we will create strong, healthy relationships that helps us to strengthen our social and community immune systems, that can help us to rescue and recover, and look at the word, how I say the word, that will rescue us from our dis-ease and bring us together with healing, and even may strengthen and lengthen our lives. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King believed in bridge building, and he believed that the bridges of trust and understanding are important. He believed that the bridges of understanding, of mutual respect and goodwill, bridges of hope and bridges of opportunities are still in our capacity to build. We must build these bridges that we may bring ourselves out of Martin's dream state into the state of the beloved community that he preached. That we might create a future that where all of God's children can truly work together, discover together, pray together, help together, and embrace God's amazing grace. These bridges are valuable. These bridges have lines on them, and the lines are lines of dignity, lines of liberty, lines of pursuit of happiness, no matter what color or creed or gender that you may be. And only if we embrace building the bridge. So as I close, allow me to repeat the words of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. again. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. Because I believe that your lesson on today from Exodus 6:3 is yet poignant, that when they did not know his name, and when they don't know his name, they don't know his character. And when you don't know his character, you don't know his ways. But when you know his name, you recognize out of one essence, out of one creation, we are all one humanity. Let's build the bridge.